Hi, Kevin Coop here, and this is FaceTime with the Content Guy. You know, it seems like every week, in fact, almost every day, I read a story that talks about how physical brick and mortar stores are closing up. In fact, there was a story on CNN the other day that said, and I quote, Credit Suisse estimates that it's possible that more than 8,600 brick and mortar stores will close their doors in 2017. That's 4 times as many as in 2016, almost twice as many as in 2015, and 2,000 more than in 2008 when the recession started, which was the worst year on record. That's how bad things are for brick and mortar stores. The Wall Street Journal had a story the other day that was along the same lines, and one of the things it talked about is why brick and mortar stores are finding it so difficult to compete. And there was one passage from that story that I thought pretty much summed it up, and I quote, "Legacy retailers are trying to play catch-up, but they're saddled by huge fixed costs, investors who prefer dividends to innovations, and CEOs incentivized to focus on the next quarter, not the next decade." I think that is a perfect description of a lot of the problems that face brick and mortar stores. Is there any wonder Amazon is having such an impact on the retail landscape? You know, and the thing is, retailers complain to me all the time, and they say, oh, you know, it's just not fair. Amazon doesn't have the same financial constrictions that we do. We have to worry about making a profit. They don't worry about making a profit, which of course is not true. Amazon makes lots of money. It just reinvests that money into research and development because it knows that's what it has to do in order to be successful long term. You know, and this is not new to Amazon, right? Amazon's not the first company not to really worry about Wall Street. That's what Costco did during this Jim Sinegal days, right? There were investors all over Costco trying to say, oh, listen, if you could just raise your margins a little bit and lower your labor factor, man, you would be so much better off in terms of your share price. And Jim Sinegal would say, no, my first job is to take care of Main Street. That means I'm going to have happy customers and happy employees, and Wall Street eventually will come around, which is exactly, pretty much what happened. So that's basically the game that Amazon is playing, albeit in a different arena. The thing is, Amazon doesn't just focus on the next decade. Amazon is actually focused on the decade after that. That's how these people think. And that's important for other retailers that are competing with them to do as well. It's really tough for a legacy retailer to do the kinds of things that Amazon has to do, or that Amazon is doing. And I don't think there's any question about that. It's really hard to tell investors, no, I'm sorry, we're not going to make as much money this time around. It's really hard not to focus on putting out fires and dealing with this quarter as opposed to a quarter that may be many, many years out. But in fact, that may be what retailers have to do if they're going to survive and thrive and build sustainable businesses over the long term. It's what everybody has to do. And here's what I think. I think you have to know who your customers are. You have to know who and what you are. You have to be able to be really, really targeted in terms of talking to your customers. You have to be relevant. You have to be compelling. And you have to know exactly what your differential advantage is. And you have to work really hard to alleviate the pain points that consumers perceive as existing in your business. Do all those things, none of it particularly easy, but do all those things and you have a shot. You don't do those things, and I'm not sure you have any shot at all. And all the whining and complaining in the world isn't going to do anything about that. Anyway, that's what's on my mind this morning. And as always, I want to hear what's on your mind.